All those campaign ads, they were like white noise. We saw so many of them in the midterm elections. And I got to tell you, the commercials were not cheap.
But despite all that, somehow there are still unused political donations. So what happens to that leftover cash? Jason Puckett verifies where your money ends up.
Election 2018 is over, and you're probably glad the ads are too. But there's actually leftover cash raised with the help of those ads. A lot of cash. Candidates for federal congressional races raised more than $2.5 billion, but only spent about $2.2 billion. And that leaves more than $325 million unspent. That's like $1 per person for every U.S. citizen. And what happened to it? That's what Ray Kelly wrote to ask us. And we sorted through dozens of pages of nuanced restrictions and guidelines from the Federal Elections Commission. They keep track of all the money raised and spent. Bottom line, leftover money has to go somewhere. And there are three main ways it's spent. 1, candidates can pay any remaining campaign expenses. 2, the leftover money can be sent to another candidate's campaign, or they can save it for a future campaign. President Trump did that ahead of 2020. 3, they can donate leftover money to charity or nonprofits or start their own, but the candidate can't benefit from it. And that leads right into the main point. You can't keep campaign funds for yourself. It doesn't matter if it's during the campaign or after. The FEC makes it clear, quote, use of campaign funds for personal use is prohibited, and they monitor it. If the money spent, donated, or transferred doesn't match the money raised, the FEC will investigate, and anyone who isn't following the rules could potentially face jail time.
Now, if there's something else you'd like us to verify, hit me up on Facebook. Just search Ben Briscoe.